Good morning and welcome to NorCal PTAC's webinar, Maximizing VOSB Opportunities with the Department of Veteran Affairs. We are hosting this alongside with the NorCal VBOC, that's the Veteran Business Outreach Center. I'm going to talk about both of these institutions in just a minute. And this is the fourth webinar in our Veteran Small Business Week series. So we're closing it off with an excellent presentation today. So really looking forward to hearing from Donnie Williams, who is a procurement analyst with the Veteran Health Administration. Donnie, you're welcome to turn on your camera if you'd like. We can see what you look like today. So let's go back one. And my name is, as I mentioned before, James Forrest. I am a procurement specialist with NorCal PTAC. I'll talk about what NorCal PTAC is in a minute. And of course, Donnie will guide you all through details of the VA and the Veteran Health Administration. So just real quickly, NorCal PTAC stands for the Northern California Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Yes, there are a lot of acronyms once you get into the contracting world. We are not actually a government agency, though. We're a nonprofit. We get funding from different government agencies, but we're a part of a network of nonprofits throughout the country. We're actually founded by Congress back in 1985 to help businesses overcome the technical hurdles that are involved in contracting with the government. So our job is to help anyone out, especially small businesses, especially small disadvantaged businesses, rural, women, minority-owned businesses, get involved with government contracting. So we offer our services at no cost to you. We like to say you've already paid for us with your tax dollars. And so what we're about is helping you tap into the world of government contracting. And again, everything that's contract from the government is also tax funded. So if you win a contract, you're winning back some of your own tax dollars that you've paid in. So it's a good deal for everybody. We help any clients that are in business. If you have an established business, you're interested in government contracting, and that's what you're looking for. And you're in our service area. So this is our service area on the map here in green. 15 counties in Northern California. If you have a business that has a primary location in one of these counties, you apply on our website there at norcalptac.org. We can go ahead and get you set up as a client, and then you're eligible for our services. Our services have helped our clients win more than $500 million just in 2021 alone. We haven't done the math to add up all the years we've been open, but it's a tremendous amount of money flowing into mostly the pockets of small businesses in Northern California. So we're really proud of that figure, and it goes up every year. So I'm looking forward to seeing what 2022 is like. Our services, basically three core elements. The first, the bread and butter of it is one-on-one counseling. So we have a team of procurement specialists, including myself, who can sit down with you and go through just about anything related to government contracting. So very few things that we don't help with, somewhat adjacent things. We don't help with loans. We don't help with financing or startup. We don't help you can't do the pricing for you. We actually can't do anything for you, but we are your coach. So we're your advisor, we're your counselor. You can email us in the middle of the night, leave us voicemails, we'll get back to you. We have video meetings, and we can guide you through and hold your hand through all these processes, filling out these endless government forms that there are, and bouncing ideas off us. And so we can help you along through the whole process. And we can also set you up with a custom bid matching profile. This is a really neat tool that's actually quite valuable that we offer to you for free. Basically what it does is it scrapes the whole internet, all these different databases for bids, open opportunities, requests for information, for quotes, for proposals, things like that. And then if it matches criteria that you work out with your procurement specialist that describes what your business does, then you'll get an email with a bulletized, hyperlinked list with all these different opportunities, and you can just click on them and see if you want to bid. So this is really takes a lot of guesswork out of the whole market research element of it, staying on top of those opportunities. So that's a pretty great service you can take advantage of. And we also offer resources and trainings. So today we're offering a training. This is one of our free live webinars. We're always putting more on, and you can find the old ones on our website under resources, past webinar. We always do the video recording as well as the slides. So we've got a huge library of those going back 5 years now. So there's dozens and dozens. I haven't actually counted, but probably close to 100. So the long and the short of it, sign up at norcalptac.org if you're in our service area, and we can take it from there. If you're not in our service area, you can find that second link there, apptac-us. .org/find a PTAC, and you'll find one of the other 95 PTACs in the country. We're all independently operated, so we don't have a referral program, but go ahead and find your local PTAC and apply. We all offer the same basic core services. So today we are also partnering through this whole week, actually, with the Veteran Business Outreach Center of Northern California, the VBOC, and they focus, whereas we focus on government contracting, they focus on business startups, specifically for veterans. So they serve men and women who are active duty service members, Guard, Reserve, veterans, and their family members who want to start a business and grow an existing business. They're funded by the SBA, among others. They're a close partner program with the SBDC, as well as us and SCORE and the WBC, so a number of different SBA programs. And like us, they don't charge anything for their services. This is a huge benefit as well. If you're a veteran, I would really recommend getting in touch with them. And one thing I didn't mention is that the VBOC, as well as the SBDC and PTAC, are all hosted by Cal Poly Humboldt up in Arcata, California. So we are really happy to provide these services. I'm not going to go through this in a lot of detail, but VBOC has a really great program called Boots to Business Reboot program. It's eight module thing, getting veterans and active service members on the right track to starting a business. So please take a look at what they offer. They cover a ton of counties in Northern California. At this point, it's not Northern California, it's just most of California all the way down to Kern. So if you are most spots of California outside of the Los Angeles, San Diego area, you're probably in the NorCal VBOC service area, and they also service all these military bases as well. Like us, they offer training, one-on-one counseling, and navigation of local programs and resources. So please take advantage of them. If you're a veteran, if you're trying to get some general business assistance, they are quite excellent. All right, so that's my intro. I hope that wasn't too boring for you. I always like to talk a little bit about who's behind these webinars. So, but we're really excited for the main course today, which will be Doneen Williams' presentation. Doneen is a procurement analyst for the Department of Veteran Affairs, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say about VOSB and SDVOSB opportunities. So thanks so much, Doneen. I'll let you take it away.
All right, thanks, James. And good morning to everyone. As James said, I'm from the Department of Veteran Affairs. I'm also a veteran myself. I've served 21 years of honorable service with the United States Air Force. And so thank you to all of our veteran-owned businesses that are participating today. Thank you for your service. Today, I'm going to be talking about the Department of Veteran Affairs. And as some of you may know, there are many subordinate agencies underneath the Department of Veteran Affairs. For example, we have the National Cemetery Administration, we have the Veterans Benefit Administration. But for today's presentation, we're going to be specifically talking about the Veterans Health Administration. And so the Veterans Health Administration basically covers all of the medical centers under the Department of Veteran Affairs. And so on the map that you see in front of you today, you can see that we are geographically divided. And so the medical centers are called Veterans Integrated Service Networks. And so we refer to it as VISN. So VISN 1 would be in the Maine, Vermont area. And then attached to the VISNs are the network contracting offices, or we call them NCOs. And so for each healthcare network, there is a contracting office that is associated with them. And so why is that important to you? So if you're looking to do business with the Department of Veteran Affairs, say in VISN 1 or Region 1, then you would want to reach out to the customers in VISN 1, and you want to reach out to the contracting specialists that are located in VISN 1. And so that's important for you to know where you're looking for opportunities so that you're making contact with the right individuals. So it's a lot of information about our geographical structure, but if you want to read more about it, you can see the website that's located at the bottom of the task. And so each of the contracting offices, they provide support and contracting support to all of these medical centers. And that's where we connect with you. So let me go to the next slide. So what does the VA do? So we support the veterans' largest health network. So we spend over $20 billion a year providing support to the medical centers. And some of the supplies and services that we provide to the medical center include pharmaceuticals, medical and operational supplies, prosthetics, medical service and staffing, high-tech medical equipment. We do minor construction under $10 million. And then we do non-recurring maintenance. And we also do real property leases for medical facilities and acquisition staff. And this is important to use because a lot of times people want to do business with the Department of Veteran Affairs. And so we want to make sure that the supplies and services that you provide line up with what we're actually purchasing. So take a good look at this slide. And if this is something, a niche that you have or a service or supply that you're providing, then we look to do business with you. Again, our primary focus is obviously the veterans. So we have over 172 VA medical centers. These are our large centers. And then we have 143 acute inpatient care centers, 300 VA veteran centers, and then we have the outpatient centers that you'll see around the nation. We also, again, we have other subordinate offices, like we have our VA benefits regional office and our VA national cemetery office. They also do contracting in the other subordinate agencies. But again, for today's purposes, I'm going to be focusing specifically on the Veterans Health Administration and the healthcare centers. But at the end, I will give you links to the other agencies in case your business is connected or works with those other agencies better than with VHA. So as I said earlier, we spend over $20 billion a year doing healthcare services and contracting with the medical centers. And so I just wanted to show some of our accomplishments in FY22. And so for small business, we did over 38% of our eligible spend with small businesses. We did over 29.8% with service disabled veterans. We did over 30% with veteran-owned small business. We did 2.8% with women-owned small businesses. So we are looking to increase our spend here with women-owned small businesses. We did 3% with the hub zones and over 15.76% with the small disadvantaged businesses. So you can see that we spend a very large amount with small businesses and service disabled and veteran-owned small businesses. And so this is, again, where you come in. We are geared towards veteran-owned and small businesses in the Department of Veteran Affairs. So how can you, what do you need to do to start doing business with us? And many of you, if you're already doing business with the federal government, you already know this, but the very first thing that you want to do is get registered in SAM. And it's the site here. If James sends out the slide, this is a hyperlink for you to go to sam.gov. I'm pretty sure that many of you are already registered here, but if you are not, this is the first thing that you must do to do business, not with just the Department of Veteran Affairs, but with any federal agency. And the second thing you want to do is make sure you have obtained your unique entity identifier or your UEI, which was formerly known as your DUNS number. It's just the unique number for your agency. Again, if you're already doing business with the government, you've probably already done this. But if you haven't, you want to make sure that this is something that you do right up front, because without registering at SAM and without having your UEI number, you're not eligible to do business with the Department of Veteran Affairs. Once you're in the system, make sure that you go in and update your North American Industry Classification System codes and your Federal Supply Classification codes. And so we provide a link for you to do that. And it's very important because this is one of the ways that we search for your businesses to see if you match up your services and supplies and services match up with what we're looking for. So you want to specifically make sure that you have all of your codes listed in SAM. And then the last thing, and maybe the most important thing for this briefing, is you want to identify yourself and get certified at sam.gov as a veteran-owned business. And I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next couple of slides, and that'll kind of be the meat of my presentation. is about you getting veteran certified so that you can participate in the special programs that the Department of Veteran Affairs has for veteran-owned businesses. Here with the Department of Veteran Affairs, we used to have a separate certification that you had to do. So some of you may have gone through the special certification. It was through our Center for Verification and Evaluation. That program was recently transferred to SBA, or the Small Business Administration, on the 24th of October, 2022. So now that registration will be done in sam.gov. And so there'll probably be a lot of questions about the transferring of the certification to SBA. And so if you have questions on that, yeah, just drop them in the chat and we'll try to answer those questions for you. So this slide here will probably be the meat of the presentation, because this is for the veteran-owned small businesses that are out there and they're looking to do business with the Department of Veteran Affairs. So in 2006, Congress enacted Public Law 109-461. It's the VA's Vets First Contracting Program. And this program allows for veterans, veteran-owned small businesses, and service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses to have preference when it comes to contracting with the Department of Veteran Affairs. And the one caveat to that is that you must be certified as a veteran-owned small business or service-disabled veteran-owned small business to participate in that program. And so I'm kind of looking off to the side because I'm going to be reading a little bit, but I just want to make sure you guys have the correct information when it comes to the Vets First Contracting Program. So again, the program itself, it allows you to compete for service-disabled, veteran-owned small business and veteran-owned small business set-asides. That's the first benefit. It also allows you to receive sole source awards, both above $250K and below $250K. So above $250K will be up to $5 million you can receive a sole source award. And under $250K, you can also receive a small business award. And the restricted competition is just the set-asides that we discussed earlier. So some of the questions that typically come out about the Vets First Contracting Program is this program similar to, is this program similar to the 8A program? And it's not similar to the 8A program. It just allows legitimately owned, veteran-owned businesses to compete in VA's contracting preferences, which will include the set-aside and the sole source award. And then some people wanted to know if the program applied to other federal agencies. So if you get certified as a veteran-owned small business, and when I say veteran-owned from here on out, I'll be referring to both service-disabled veteran-owned and veteran-owned small businesses. So if you get certified through SBA as a veteran-owned small business, will that allow you to apply it to other federal programs? You would have to check with each of the other federal agencies because this program and the law itself specifically applies to the Department of Veteran Affairs. And so you would have to check with other programs to see if they have any veteran preference programs. Do other local and state governments accept the certification? So now you'll be registered at sam.gov. And so if those other agencies do have a program, they will probably accept it because you're going through SBA versus coming directly through the Department of Veteran Affairs. Will the verification or your certification help you win federal contracts? So with the Department of Veteran Affairs, it will give you the opportunity to compete for any set-asides that are specifically for veteran-owned small businesses. So that's the one benefit that it will give to you. It also, again, gives you the opportunity to win sole source awards as a veteran-owned small business, and then again, to compete non-competitively under $250K for awards with the Department of Veteran Affairs. Some people have asked, is there a benefit like a price adjustment that you get if you get verified? and there is not. There's no financial benefit with the certification program. So the answer to that would just be no. And then some people have asked, is there, do you get subcontracting opportunities? Or can you increase your subcontracting opportunities? And do you have to be verified when you're doing subcontracting? So if a large business wins a contract with the Department of Veteran Affairs, we do give them an evaluation and a preference if they agree in their plan to subcontract to certified veteran-owned small businesses. So it may give you a leg up in the subcontracting arena. And then the government itself will get credit for those agencies that are verified as certified veteran-owned small businesses in the subcontracting arena. If you are already certified, someone asked if your verification expires. So your verification, it lasts for 3 years, but if it expires during the time of your award, can you still perform task orders under a contract? And typically you can still perform task orders under a contract, but it would depend on the way the contract is written itself. But typically we write them where you would still be able to perform through the life of that contract. Yeah. And some people ask like about, can you have a joint venture, or can 2 companies come together and still qualify for the Vets First program? I'm not sure of the new rules that are going to apply under the SBA, but previously, as long as one of the companies was certified veteran-owned small businesses, then you could compete in a teaming arrangement for the set-asides with the Department of Veteran Affairs and for sole source awards under a teaming arrangement or a joint venture. And someone also asked about affiliations. And so typically if you're in an affiliation agreement as a small business, the affiliate typically has most of the daily management controls. And so typically an affiliated business would not qualify under the Vets First contracting program. So that's a lot of information about the Vets First contracting program, but it does give you a lot of opportunities to compete. And in the Department of Veteran Affairs, the vets and the veteran service disabled veteran-owned small business do have a preference. So our priorities will start when we go out for solicitation. We must consider service disabled veteran-owned small businesses first that are certified under the program. And then our next tier would be the veteran-owned small businesses. And then we move into the small businesses in general. And then it kind of opens up from there, just equity across the board with the other socio-economic categories. And so having that certification does give you kind of a leg up. And as long as you're certified, we do follow that order of preference. I will say this as a caveat: when we're doing sole source awards, the sole source award is up to the CO's discretion, whether or not they want to use that. And since we do encourage competition, typically if there are 2 or more veteran-owned small businesses, we'll typically use a competitive process versus the sole source. How does this apply to you? So for a recommendation for everyone listening in here, I would say, get familiar with Public Law 109-461 and 38 USC Code 8127, because when you're out looking for awards, it would be good to know when and where you could have a preference. And if you see a solicitation that may not be set aside for small business or veteran-owned small businesses, you could reach out to the CO and just in a kind manner, just remind them, is it a possibility in accordance with Public Law 109-461 that you could sole source this award to me as a veteran-owned small business, or that you could set aside the award. So we won't want to be aggressive in asking, but we could ask in a polite manner, reminding, the CO of the laws that are currently out there to help us, move solicitations in the right manner so that they're offering you those advantages that are actually, designed by law for you to win contracts. All right, we're going to move on from this. So where do we solicit and forecast our opportunities? So the VA has a forecast for opportunities, and it's at vavco.gov. So when we're talking about forecast of opportunities, obviously we can only forecast the opportunities that we're aware of, and we get all of our requirements typically from the VA medical centers. So as they send them over to us, we do try to forecast them in advance. And so I would take a look out at the forecast of opportunities to see what's out there so you can prepare in advance. And this also gives you a chance to work with the PTACs and the VBOCs if you have questions about how best, or just some guidance on how to solicit for new requirements, especially if you're new to the federal government contracting. I would look here so they could give you some support and kind of help move you in the right direction. Sometimes this is a little off because oftentimes we don't know what we need until we need it. And so there's not a lot of time for forecasting. But for those that are out there, take advantage of those that have been forecasted for you. The VA, we do our solicitations on sam.gov. So that's our single point of entry. So always look out there for solicitations. We also have what we call the VA medical surgical prime vendor contract. So under that contract, we have already made award to prime vendors for medical, surgical, dental, lab, and environmental medical supplies. So those are typically large businesses. But if you provide these products and services, you may want to go look at this site and see if you can become a subcontractor to them. And the reason we do this, obviously, we're a medical center for our medical and surgical and dental needs. There's often a quick turn for supplies. And so we contracted with prime vendors so that we can have that quick turnover and quick response time. But it is a great opportunity for those of you that are small businesses or veteran-owned small businesses to subcontract under the larger businesses in that arena. And you also want to look here because if this is your primary business, you may be wondering why you can't get your foot in the door with the VA medical centers. And this might be why, is because you may have to come in under this program first and kind of establish your name for yourself here. And then just realize that this is our primary vehicle. And so we don't want you out here scrambling on the side when this is the vehicle that we typically use to make awards for these supplies and services. I did want to mention also that the VA has the federal supply schedule 65 and 66 and 621I. And under those GSA schedules, we buy drugs and pharmaceuticals and all the equipment that you see here on the screen in front of you. So also take a look at the VSS schedule, the FSS schedule, excuse me, just to make sure, just to have an understanding of where the VA procures its supplies and services. Often when we're talking with the veteran-owned small businesses, they're really excited. They've worked very hard to put their programs together and they're struggling to get their foot in the door. And sometimes just understanding how and where we buy can help you kind of navigate that system. So what can you guys do to help us? So we are specifically focused, and our preferences really do go to veteran-owned small businesses. So we really are looking for highly motivated small businesses who know their capabilities. Oftentimes, we find that the veteran-owned small businesses, some of them have a wide range of services and products that they provide. And so we're unsure of what your niche is. So really hone in on what your capabilities are, and then kind of tailor your conversations with a contracting specialist on the things that we're specifically looking for. So if I can give you an example, if you do have a broad range of services and supplies that you provide, but you're coming to talk to the contracting office and we're looking for, let's just say, for example, dental supplies, kind of just tailor your conversation towards the dental supplies so that we can clearly understand and know that that is your primary niche. Because when it gets too broad, then the contracting specialist is unsure and they tend to kind of move on to say that maybe you're not capable of providing the service in the quality and the capacity that we're looking for. So just pay attention to that, and that's really helpful. Also, because we do gear most of our contracts and awards to veteran-owned small businesses, it really hurts the system if we award a contract to a veteran-owned small business that is not capable of providing the services. Because then we get into sort of a tiff with the medical centers because they have the award, but then they're not able to perform the services. So we strongly encourage you to help one another by making sure that whatever business or whatever contracts that you're soliciting for, that you are definitely motivated and you definitely have the capability to complete that contract. And then the second thing, we want you to, be prepared to engage with the contracting staff. If you have questions, we're here to support you. It is our goal to award to veteran-owned small businesses. Ask your questions during the solicitation phase. Don't wait until the whole thing has been awarded, the award is done, and you have questions about the solicitation. Well, why didn't you set this aside? Ask those questions then. Be familiar with the laws. So just educate yourself so that we can help you right up front. We are not always right, and we don't mind making corrections, but just let us know right up front. So read through the documents, read through the proposals, ask questions right at the front, and so that we can solve those issues right up the front and get you guys in business with us. Again, remember to register your company as a veteran-owned small business. Make sure you're registered in SAM and that all your NAICS codes are loaded in the system. If you can work on a federal supply schedule, then go ahead and apply for the federal supply schedules. If you accept purchase cards, set yourself up to do that, because that's good for our purchase card program. Make sure you're doing competitive pricing. But I will say here with the competitive pricing, be careful. Don't make it so low that you're not getting a profit. We want you to stay in business, and we're not here to put you guys out of business. So be competitive, but make sure you're pricing yourself correctly. Take advantage of the other resources around you. We have PTEC, VBOCs, SBDCs, and then the last and the most important thing probably is to know your customers. We are contracting agencies, but most of our requirements come from our hospital medical centers. So work with us and work with your customers to find out what it is that they're looking for, and then go after those proposals or solicitations that you can provide a great proposal on. I know today's presentation is pretty short, and I do have a couple more slides after this, but I did want to say that the VA does offer other learning sessions. So if you are truly interested in doing business with the VA, go to the website that's listed here, and there's classes on things like doing business with the VA. If you're new to the federal government or your business is pretty new and you haven't done a lot of business, you can take the procurement readiness course. If you haven't established your capability statements, there's a class on capability statements. Most of these are webinars, so you can do them at your leisure. Just take a few minutes and look out there. Managing risk as a small business talks about some of the pitfalls of teaming arrangements or pricing. There's a class on financial literacy, and then making the leap from subcontracting to prime, and then responding to source assault. So a ton of resources that are available through our VOSB program, which is our headquarters small business office. So if you have the time, definitely reach out. Also, right on the first slide, I gave you the geographical structure of the VA. Where you see the VA small business specialist, it'll give you a point of contact in each of those regions. So if you click on that slide and you're looking for somebody in region 1, then you can find them here at this link from the contracting office. Another thing that VHA is doing, we partnered with our Office of Small Business and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, or OSDBU, to bring you monthly virtual conferences. So each month, it'll feature a different network contracting office. Again, that refers to the map on the first page. So Network Contracting Office 17, which is in, I believe, the Texas area, will be presenting on the 15th of November. So if you want to check out that webinar, go to the link at that page, and they're specifically talking about veteran-owned small businesses. This is Veteran-Owned Small Business Month, and they'll be listing some opportunities that are upcoming in the Texas area. So if you're interested in working with the VA and you do provide some of the services and supplies that we've discussed today, make sure you go to this webinar and check it out on the 15th of November. And then we talked about that the VA has other contracting agencies. So we're one of the agencies that has multiple contracting units. And so under the Department of the Veterans Health Administration, we also have what we call the National Acquisition Center, and they do most of our national contracts, which are our bigger, more large dollar contracts. And then we have the Technology Acquisition Center, which is responsible for our IT solutions. So if you're in the IT world, you're still going to be dealing with the Department of Veteran Affairs. You're still going to be dealing with the Veterans Health Administration. But if you're in IT, you want to reach out to the Technical Acquisition Center. And then we have our Strategic Acquisition Center. They manage more of our complex contracts. And so we often get a ton of calls about the community care networks where you're providing sort of medical services in support of our healthcare centers. So if the healthcare center can't provide maybe hospice or something of that nature, then we refer to our community care network, which is typically our small businesses. Then you want to reach out to the Strategic Acquisition Center or the SAC, if that's where your niche and your services lie. And then once again, we have our VA Federal Supply Schedule, the FSS schedule. So take a look at that and see if that is somewhere where you can find a niche for yourself as well. One. So just some takeaways. Just make sure that you understand how the VHA procures its requirements. You want to make sure that you get registered in SAM. And once you're in SAM, you want to make sure that you are uploading your NAICS codes and make sure you get certified as a veteran-owned small business. Then you want to get familiar with VA's Veterans First program. Again, that's Public Law 109-461 and USC 8127 or 38 USC 8127. Take a look at those rules and regulations, get familiar with them so that you can use them to your advantage and make sure that we are following the programs correctly. And then use all available resources to maximize your opportunities. We talked about PTAC, VBOC, SBDC, and then some of the resources I shared with you from the VA today. So go to those webinars and those classes and get more familiar with how the VA does business. And then last but not least, we want to encourage you, if you are a fit for our agency, then by all means, please submit a proposal. And we'd love to have you do business with us. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to James.
Okay, thank you so much, Donine. That was very informative. Just a note we're about to go into the Q&A section. We're getting a lot of questions in the chat, and it's just I understand there's confusing. There's two different ways of communicating, but it is a lot easier to track questions and respond in a fair way if you enter it into the Q&A, and we'll get to those. Just want to talk a little bit about some of the events we have upcoming. We've been doing events all week. This is our fourth one of the week for veterans Veteran Small Business Week, but we're going to continue all the way through November into December. We got an introduction webinar, How to Do Business with the Government, on November 10th. Looks like most of these are at 10 a.m. We've got DCAA, that's the auditing section of the federal government, is going to be doing an overview of their audit process. That's on Thursday, November 17th. Our construction specialist, Ed Duarte, is going to be talking about what to do once you've landed a construction contract. So how to fulfill all those requirements and navigate your first contract, or maybe not even your first contract, you just want a little more guidance. And that's on November 17th at 4 to 6 p.m. in the evening. And then we have a cybersecurity government regulations webinar from a cybersecurity expert. So we're really looking forward to that as well. And that's on the 1st of December at 10 a.m. So please take a look at these. These are, like today, always no cost to you to join. And you can find them all on our website at norcalptech.org and click on the calendar button. Okay, so we do have plenty of questions. Let me go ahead and just bring up the Q&A. We had several questions about if the VHA procures any IT or technical services, and you did address that on the last slide, where to go. But would you mind just going over that again real briefly?
Yes, no problem. So we have our Technical Acquisition Center. Once you receive the slides, you will have a link to that. But if you're in the IT solutions, you definitely want to reach out to the Technical Acquisition Center for all of your IT questions and services. And they do the majority of our procurements for IT, typically so that all of our functions can work together. And so we just have centralized that service so that all of our IT components are compatible with each other.
Great, and I just dropped that link into the chat, so you can go ahead and find that there. It's nice to see we have a lot of IT folks in the audience today. Just a reminder, if you have questions, I'm still seeing questions pop in the chat. I can read them out from the chat. I'll give up. It's fine. All right, we have from an anonymous attendee asking, for those who are already certified as SDVOSB by the VA, do we need to make any reaction regarding the system transfer to SBA?
No, you do not. You should have an automatic transfer into the system. However, I would encourage you to go into sam.gov and just to verify that your certification has transferred over. And if it has not, then reach out to the SBA to get that corrected. Okay,
great. But when it comes time for them to renew, they'll have to renew with the SBA, is that correct?
Correct, through sam.gov.
All right, great. LJ is asking, would HUD, HUD, VASH services, so for instance, housing, transitional living, peer support services, would that fall under the VHA or HUD?
I believe that will fall under HUD.
Okay, great. Thanks, LJ. And then we have Laura is asking if there's someone do you have someone that helps with veteran, women, disabled vet grants to score, and waiting to hear back from them? I would go ahead and talk to you. We don't work with grants at PTAC, but I would go ahead and talk to the VBOC Center. And Kelly is their director. I can go ahead and drop some information about VBOC in the chat for you. But yeah, absolutely. I would go ahead and reach out to the VBOC talking about grants. VBOC and the SBDC are great resources for grants and funding. SCORE is as well. So you talk to SCORE, and that's great. And hopefully they'll get back to you soon. Oh, if you have any issues with certification, if you want to get certified for government contracting, that's certainly something PTAC can help you with at no cost if you're in our service area. Okay, William is asking, where is the certification section in sam.gov? You have to go through your registration for SAM, to update your SAM registration. Is that correct, Doneen?
Yes, and some of them are self-certifications, and this one will, you may already be self-certified, and I think there's like a 1-year kind of waiver period for those of you that are trying to get certified. And so, yeah, go through SAM and it'll tell you if it's a self-certification or if you have a certification process to go through.
Okay, thanks, William. Thanks, Doneen. And let me go through the chat here to see what we may have missed. Is there a specific procedure to follow and become a sub to the primes in the VAMSVP.gov?
If you're trying to become a, say it, what's the website?
The VAMSVP, I'm not sure.
Yeah, the medical surgical prime vendor. So is there a specific process for that? No, you would deal directly with the prime vendor under the medical surgical prime vendor contracts. So if you go out to the link that's provided there, you'll get an opportunity to see who the primes are. And then there's points of contact for small businesses that are looking to do business with those primes.
And what's the what link is that?
It's the MSVP. I don't know which slide it's on.
I'm combing through them real quick. Was it earlier on?
I think it looks at, how we solicit. So it's earlier on how we solicit.
Okay, I'll track it down here. What BHA does.
Probably the next
one. Required documents. All right. Well, maybe you'll find in the slides later. I don't want to waste anyone's time trying to look through, the rest of this. But that's a good question, and the answer would be that you have to deal directly with the companies on there. Mm-hmm. All right. How would mental health community care providers locate the SAC opportunities with VHA?
How would the mental health, read one more time for me, please.
How would the mental health community care providers locate the SAC for opportunities with the VHA?
So I think I gave a link talking about the community care providers. So the Strategic Acquisition Command, it's on the same page where you find the IT link tag, right? So the Strategic Acquisition Command, if you click on their link, it'll give you all the points of contact again to start up your community care with that organization. Mm-hmm.
Awesome, thanks. I just dropped that link in the chat as well. And maybe we can if I just take control of the screen here, we just go back. We can just go take a look at that one here. Since we're getting a lot of questions about these alternate procurement agencies. So this will be your guide. You'll get these slides later today or no later than Monday. And you'll get all these hyperlinks as well. But I've dropped some of them in the chat as well. You can copy them down right now. Okay. Kwasi's asking if there's a specific VBOC person. I would just reach out to to the main VBOC office and then ask about getting involved with them. All right. Is there a portal that shows past contract activity? Presumably for the VHA.
Yeah, so FPDS&G still shows all of our past activity, and some of that now is located on SAM.gov as well.
FPDS and some on SAM as well. Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Well, I'll just say add this. So if you look out and it's F as in Frank, P as in Papa, D as in Delta, G as in Golf. FPDS. If you look out at that website, there's a quick link right at the top. It says easy query. So you can just type in whatever you're looking for and do a really quick search. And then off to the left, if you're facing the screen, you can just click down for Department of Veteran Affairs or whichever agency that you're specifically looking for and locate past procurements. Okay,
fpds.gov, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the Federal Procurement Data System.
Correct.
Okay, and that's the actual portal that the COs actually use themselves for.
Correct.
For entering the contract information, so it doesn't get any more close to the source than that. All right, Jessica's asking, how do we find medical long-term care contractors with the VA?
Medical long-term care contractors. I'm going to take the question down for you, Jessica. I don't know the source because there's so many long-term contractors.
Sure, yeah.
So Jessica, I don't know if my email's on here anywhere. I'm gonna have you email me directly and then I'll get you a response.
I will copy your email down into the chat right now. So Jessica, feel free to copy that down, and you two can coordinate on getting that question answered later.
Yes.
All right, thanks so much. That's a generous offer, Donine. Thank you. William's asking for a review. Could you explain the basic differences between set aside and sole source?
Yes.
Relative to the VA.
All right. So in a set aside program, well, sole source is that you award to just one specific contract. So if a contract is going to be a sole source award, there will be no other competition. And typically a sole source award would go to a contractor where no other contractor can provide similar or the same services. And so that's a very small arena because typically you have competition out there providing similar or the same services. But if you don't, then we can do a sole source award to you and you alone without competition. Set asides is when we don't open the competition up to all businesses. So it won't be opened up to large businesses. It won't be opened up to small businesses. It will be set aside specifically for veteran-owned small businesses or set aside for service disabled owned small businesses. And only those companies that are certified and meet the qualifications for those economic categories, socioeconomic categories, are able to compete.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's very informative. So it looks like the website listed for the Office of Acquisition Operations about pages for the TAC and the SAC are not operational. They're bringing up a sorry, can't find that page link. So I found another one, va.gov/opal/SAC. Is that correct?
It's the same, yes.
Okay, all right. So with that one, and then so just a little bit of Googling will get you through that, and I do apologize for that here. So I just typed in copied in the SAC link there.
Okay.
So that should be the correct one. Okay, does FPDS show government credit card transactions as well?
It does not.
It does not. Okay. Okay. Is there any way to find those with the VA? You know?
I can check with our credit card again. Give that person my email address, and we'll check with our government purchase card center. That would be a tremendous buy.
All right, Ralph. The same offer to you. Go ahead and reach out to Donnie if you'd like your question. Kwasi's asking, are sources sought with the VA worth pursuing to get a contract? I guess that would be a kind of a depends on the situation. And all right. Well, we don't have any other questions right now, so I think we can end a little bit early. And just thank you so much, Donine, for all.
I'm gonna ask one question. So I will say this about requests for information, RFIs, requests for sources, and sometimes sources sought. So when you see an RFI go out or sources sought, sometimes the contracting officers use those interchangeably. And so they're typically looking for or trying to find out if there are veteran-owned small businesses that are out there. And so if you have the resources, meaning financially, and if you have the time to respond to RFIs and sources sought, I would encourage you to do that with the Department of Veteran Affairs, because sometimes they use that to decide if they're going to do a set aside or a sole source buy. And if we don't get any responses, then they may assume that there are none out there and then move forward with just a more open solicitation where it goes to large businesses and small, and then they negate to do this veteran-owned small business set asides.
Yeah, always want to respond to those RFIs and sources soughts, and then call your friends in the industry and get them to respond as well. So
yes.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Donnie. Once again, everyone's going to receive a satisfaction survey link in the just right as you leave this webinar, and you should be redirected to the link. I know nobody wants to fill out forms. You can do it anonymously. It takes probably less than a minute. We just love to know what you thought. We always want to improve our webinars, and it's valuable information for us. And we hope to see you at future events for NorCal PTAC and some of our partners as well. And so just a reminder, everyone's going to receive the slides and the video either today or on Monday. So thanks.
Thanks, James.
Thanks everyone for joining, and thanks, Donnie, again.
Mm-hmm.